This is 6 News at 6.
We are following breaking news tonight on 6 News. A deadly school bus crash that claims the lives of 2 children and an adult. We have team coverage of this tragic accident.
People here at UT tell me they have 4 patients, 3 children and 1 adult who were involved in that accident, and they are anticipating possibly more.
Well, Lori, the tone here is very sad, a very sad one indeed. I'm learning in the last few minutes that 3 people are dead, a bus aide and 2 children in kindergarten through 3rd grade. Their families have been notified at this point, according to the Knoxville Police Department.
Today's tragedy hitting many families tonight, and we're hearing from a little girl who was on one of the school buses as it crashed.
Continuing our team coverage, WATE 6 On Your Side reporter Kayla Strayer is live at the scene after witnessing some emotional reunions this afternoon. Kayla.
Lori, Jean, it has been such an emotional night out here. I was actually here earlier, the moment when one of the families found out that their little girl would not be coming home with them tonight. It was all they could do to scream helplessly. Many people out here were brought to tears. But I do want to say also that I spoke with a woman who was waiting to hear news of her daughter and then finally was reunited.
Just be calm and be patient with us.
As I arrived near the scene of the school bus crash, police were telling parents to be calm and patient as they read a list of names of children who were safe. Tara Sampson and her youngest daughter hug each other as they wait for news of Tara's 10-year-old daughter, Abby, who was on one of the buses.
It was very heart-wrenching. The phone call I got was, I hope I never get a phone call like that again in my life.
As we are talking, a bus full of kids pulls up.
Oh, here they come. Oh, I'm so excited right now.
Is that your daughter?
Yeah, I believe so.
I was there as Abby stepped off the bus into her mom's arms.
Yours is okay.
No.
She's tough.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you're with her.
Abby says she was on the bus that did not flip over.
The bus driver was driving and there was a car in front of us and he was going fast and the car had stopped. So the bus driver turned around or something, and then there's a bus coming by and then it hit the bus and then
The other bus flipped.
Yeah.
After this emotional day, the family heads home to start healing.
Seeing her was great. I was just waiting. That's all I wanted to do was see her. Just happy to have my girl home. Now we're gonna go have some hot chocolate.
Yay.
Now, I did speak with a counselor who was out here tonight. She tells me the families and the children are handling this very well, but of course she says to be very patient with them and offer them plenty of compassion as they do try to move forward from this tragedy. Live in East Knox County, Kayla Strayer, WATE 6 on your side.
First of all, this is bus 44 right here carrying the kids from Chilhowie Elementary. Let's put all this in motion for a moment. It is heading east on Asheville Highway. Here's bus 57 coming into frame from Sunnyview. Now, for some unknown reason, bus 44 makes that sharp left turn, goes across the median, hits bus 57, and then you can see what happens there. Bus 57 then, landing on its side and sliding several feet.
That's right, Bo and Lori. NTSB actually got here early this morning. They started out at the crash site, and like you said, they will be here at the city impound lot tomorrow inspecting the buses. Now you can see them over my shoulder. They're right here behind us, and right now THP and KPD are looking at them. They're looking for any type of evidence and any information to try and figure out just what went wrong yesterday.
She wrote her own stories and she would sing her own songs. She was just a great child.
Standing with her brother, Eugenia Arenzi is taking each day moment by moment. Her 6-year-old daughter, Zykia, was one of the 3 killed in the tragic school bus crash on Asheville Highway. Her twin brother, Zykis, was riding on the same bus and lived.
Once you can't find your other child, and you kind of just know it was just a hard situation to deal with right there on the scene. But I felt like I had a peaceful calming come over me while I was there.
Zykia, Saraya, and Kim. Just yesterday they were alive and lively, and today we mourn them.
At least 100 people paid their respects at a candlelight vigil at Church Street United Methodist in downtown Knoxville. Arenzi was there. The vigil, organized by the community, was to remember the 2 children and teacher's aide who died. The sound of music and lit candles filled the church's parking lot. The sun sphere even changed colors to yellow in honor of Zykia Burns, Soraya Glasper, and Kim Riddle. Dozens comforted Zykia's mother, one of them Superintendent Dr. Jim McIntyre hugging her. While it is a sad time for the families dealing with death, Arenzi says she wants her daughter remembered for much more. She describes her as caring and a young girl wanting to conquer it all.
I'm going to miss her every day, every moment. Every time I close my eyes, I see my beautiful Zykia's smile.
Now, also, a friend of Zykia's mother has set up a GoFundMe page for the family to help them during this tough time. So far, they've raised about $7,000. Their goal is $10,000.
Significant damage in this area, if this is true, but oh boy, there's a
right
couple
there,
there,
Matt.
right there.
It's
well defined.
High probability.
Yes, we can't go out and say there's a tornado on the ground because we don't have visual confirmation, but there is more than likely a tornado on the ground with this. In Campbell County until 6 o'clock, forget about this right here. Just watch this storm as it goes across Dokes Creek and Hopewells Lane. And then it's going to go across 63, and then it's going to go down to the south and east. This is, I believe this is the road. Yeah, this is Old Middlesboro Highway. So this is the road that goes from La Follette all the way through Claiborne County and then up toward Harrogate back behind me here. So this is coming over the McLeod Mountain and McLeod Ridge up there. That's going to be dropping down, and you can see it just updates right here. So Powell Valley Shores Circle. I've been to Powell Valley Elementary School many times, and this is close to that area, it appears.
Right here.
As it moves to the southeast.
Oh, there it is, Matt. See the pink?
Yep. So right here.
Right there.
Okay, so that would be our debris ball, and we would have some, that's a beautiful, beautiful area. So if you know this, there's the plateau runs right here, so we're kind of down in a valley in this area right here. And this is just basically going right across Highway 63 right here. So this is Middlesboro Highway. As you know, it is 63 moving up toward Harrogate, but the storm is actually moving from the northwest to the southeast. There is more than likely some debris on the ground or some debris in this storm right here, more than likely a tornado on the ground.
Gene and Lori, we are right in the heart of Speedwell. Actually, we are right in the heart of Sheriff David Ray's home. This was his kitchen. It was just around this time last night when Sheriff Ray says that tornado came off the mountains into this valley and just swept his home away. Thankfully, he, his wife, and his mother-in-law were able to make it to safety. But, you know, we did speak to so many people who say that he is really a hero for being able to get them to safety in time.
Came down, and right here's where we had a little trouble with my mother-in-law, but we came on down, and right here's where we were lying face down right here.
The roof is gone, the furniture in shambles.
So this is the living room.
But Sheriff David Ray says they're safe thanks to a phone call.
At exactly 6 o'clock, I got a call from one of my officers that said that on the radar he saw it coming right here and said, get in the basement.
The sheriff built the house himself in 1984 and had a spot picked out if extreme weather ever hit.
And it worked fine.
As law enforcement, he's seen his fair share of destruction. But he says knowing it happened to his family is hard to grasp.
It's like a dream.
Surveying the damage, it's hard to understand what the storm took and what the storm left behind.
See the mattress cover? Well, the sheets are gone.
Neighbors have been stopping by all day, helping pick up the pieces of the sheriff's roof that flew hundreds of feet away as the sheriff digs through what's left at his home.
There's some stakes in there. What do you want to bet?
Because even surrounded by devastation, Sheriff Ray has a smile on his face and the Claiborne community in his heart.
This is devastating to our community, and I just, the good Lord was with us last night.
This has been truly a community day today. Actually, you can see a lot of this wood. Pieces of Sheriff Ray's neighbor's home actually flew into his house today. Again, lots of homes destroyed today. We're told 10 homes in this community were destroyed, 12
seriously damaged. So it's a very long cleanup process here for these families and for the Speedwell community, Krista.
It really is. I was amazed at his resilience today, and he had a smile on his face because he said everyone survived.
Exactly, you know, and that was what he wanted to know. He was making calls. Once he got his mother-in-law and his wife out of this home, he was able to start making calls and checking on his neighbors.
A 6 News investigation reveals questionable spending by employees at Morristown Utility Systems.
Well, as we told you last night here at 11, thousands of dollars has been spent on travel, expensive steak dinners, and some hefty salaries.
Our coverage continues tonight. The night team's Alexis Sotos found customer money was also helping throw some pricey parties.
Jean, Lori, tonight the Morristown mayor called for an audit from the state comptroller's office looking into Morristown Utility Systems after we brought our findings to his attention. Now we're looking at the tens of thousands of dollars spent on company banquets. It was all aboard Saturday for employees of Morristown Utility Systems for the annual end-of-the-year banquet. The employees and their families took a private cruise on the Tennessee Riverboat after a 2-hour lunch at Calhoun's on the river. The $5,327 lunch and boat ride were both footed by ratepayer dollars. But that's not even a third of the cost of the big party. The real cost came from the door prizes and employee gifts. $300 in American Express gift cards, a $500 iPad, a $100 gift card to Ruth Chris, 164 car wash gift certificates totaling $820, $1,700 in Cracker Barrel gift cards, and thousands of others. The final price tag for Saturday's party? $15,180.
I do good to make that in a year, you know. Like I say, by the time I pay my bills, I honestly, I have hardly anything left, and then you see stuff like this, and $15,000, almost $16,000, for a party.
We caught up with Morristown Utilities customer Mitchell Long as he was paying his electric bill.
$118.94.
We showed him the receipts we obtained through an open records request.
That just blows my mind to see this.
But this year's banquet was a bit of a bargain compared to last year's. Morristown Utility Systems shelled out $3,600 for a 1-hour performance by Felix and Fingers dueling pianos. The party was held at the Country Club in Morristown. A meal of prime rib, beef tenderloin, and New York-style cheesecake cost the ratepayers more than $6,000.
They have one good party.
And once again, employees walked away with some pretty pricey door prizes. A $600 stay at the Biltmore, $400 worth of season passes to Dollywood, a $200 Kindle Fire, and $500 Smart HD TV.
I'd like to have a TV.
And again, hundreds of dollars in gift cards.
These people make enough money that they don't need gift cards. They, if you want to have a banquet, have a banquet. That's fine and dandy. But why do you have to add on all these extra expenses?
The 2012 banquet cost ratepayers $21,702.
Lavish. It doesn't matter how you cut them.
In addition to the yearly banquets, there's also a company breakfast. This year costing ratepayers $18,776. After we showed Morristown Mayor Danny Thomas our findings, he has now called for an investigation into the spending at MUS.
I'm very disappointed in the procedures that are being carried out at Morristown Utility System.
When we tried to get answers from MUS at this weekend's banquet, we were told only the CEO could respond, and he's out of town.
Is there no one that can answer to your guys' customers on why you guys think this type of party is acceptable?
I'm sorry, I'm not authorized to comment.
CFO Clark Rucker said he couldn't comment, but he is authorized to sign off on expense reports and put these purchases on his card. In total, this year, Morristown Utilities spent $33,000 on banquets. We again asked for an on-camera interview with the company's CEO. Instead, he responded with an email saying these banquets are recognition of the hard work and dedication of their employees. It's an annual tradition. And as for the gift cards and prizes, he says those are just an additional means of showing appreciation for employees. On your side in the studio, Alexis Sotos, 6 News Night Team.
Now you can take a look at all of the receipts and expense reports from these banquets at our website, WATE.com.
This is a 6 News special report, a conversation on education with Knox County teachers and Superintendent Dr. Jim McIntyre. Here's 6 News reporter Samantha Manning.
There was an elementary school teacher who wrote that the school board and district leaders are out of touch with what teachers do and what they need. Another teacher wrote that teachers feel persecuted. And then one elementary school teacher wrote, and this is a quote, "I feel bullied by the superintendent." Dr. McIntyre, hearing that, how does that make you feel?
Well, certainly, there were 161 pages of comments from teachers, and so those are 3 out of about 1,700 that we heard from teachers. So,
but it is fair to say a lot of them did feel that they weren't valued enough, and while these are 3 quotes, there were many comments indicating that teachers did feel out of touch with the school district.
I think that there was certainly a theme around wanting to feel that we respect the professional judgment of our teachers. What we wanted to do was be able to try to address some of those concerns, but to be very clear that we weren't going to compromise our high standards and rigorous expectations.
The Knoxville great-grandmother says she was wrongfully arrested after another mix-up in the criminal court clerk's office.
The experience she's claiming sounds like other cases that we've brought you, connected with the same problems that have led to calls for an overhaul of the county justice process.
Well, 6 News reporter Stephanie Beacon joins us down in the studio with the story you'll see only on 6. And Stephanie, you're going to share with us how you found out about this.
Lori, Kristen, I spend almost every morning in the courthouse checking what cases are on the docket. This morning, I heard people coming out of a courtroom talking about a woman who should not have been arrested. Then a woman walked out of the courtroom visibly upset and emotional. I asked her what happened and reviewed the court documents. Records show she was wrongfully arrested.
It was bad. It was one of the worst things I've ever had happen to me in my life.
That's how 67-year-old great-grandmother Virginia Krutoff describes spending Saturday afternoon to early Sunday morning behind bars after she says she was wrongfully arrested. Last weekend, Krutoff was making potato salad for church when she heard a knock on her door. It was the authorities saying they had a warrant for her arrest.
I could not believe it. I was in a state of shock. I felt like I was going to pass out, and I was weak and nauseated.
Officers told her she was being arrested for violation of probation. Krutoff said she was taken into custody in front of family and fellow church members.
That's where they handcuffed me, beside the church, beside the police car. And that's when my other daughter comes running down the driveway screaming.
She says she was put in the back of the cruiser, which had no AC or ventilation, and taken to jail.
They took me over to this wall and stripped my clothes and everything and searched me. And then they took me in the bathroom and gave me some clothes to put on. And then they took me to a cell.
Her brother paid her $1,500 cash bond. Krutoff said she was released Sunday morning.
I was so scared because I didn't know what was going to happen to me and how long I was going to be in there and whether I was going to get my daily medication. It could have been fatal for me at my age.
Krutoff began looking through her records to see what happened. In 2012, she was charged with a misdemeanor for a $32 theft charge from Walmart. I also looked at the court documents. Records show she paid all her court fees and restitution costs by February 26, 2013, over a year and a half ago. But this is the paperwork that the prosecutor saw from the clerk's office. Not all the payments are shown to have been made, and due to this error, she was listed as having to appear in court. Today, when she showed the court she had paid, her $1,500 bond payment was refunded. Here's the check from the court clerk's office. Her violation of probation was dismissed.
The judge apologized to me, and it was a clerical error that had nothing to do with the court. It was strictly the clerk's office.
Krutoff says she hopes another mistake is not made, causing someone else to end up behind bars when they aren't supposed to be. She says she is seeking legal counsel and is considering filing a lawsuit. Now, I did try to get a comment from criminal court clerk Joy McCroskey.
Right.
She has not responded yet to my request.
What a story.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. Each week during Food for Thought, we report the latest restaurant health scores, looking at the restaurants with high scores and those with the lowest. But a 6 News investigation discovered a problem with inconsistency among those Knox County Health Department inspectors, finding some were failing restaurants much more frequently than others. The Night Team's Alexis Zotos is on your side, taking a look at why and what the health department is doing to fix the problem.
Restaurant inspectors look at everything from food temperatures to ice bin sanitation, all in an effort to protect you, the diner.
The worst thing any restaurant could ever do is serve anything that's unsafe to the public.
But some restaurant owners found their health score may depend less on what's going on in the kitchen and more on who's inspecting it.
The inspectors all grade different things. You know, we have one inspector that's always going to look for a dripping pipe. We have another inspector that'll never look for that.
You're welcome.
That looks good. To find out if this is true, 6 News producer Ryan Webb and I spent days poring over every restaurant inspection from the last year. 4,437 reports to be exact. And what we found was out of 13 inspectors, one of them accounted for 38% of all restaurant failures. Inspector 225 only inspects 14% of the restaurants, but makes up for more than a third of the failing scores. On the other hand, 3 inspectors didn't fail anybody in all of 2013.
What we want is a level playing field for everybody. We want all of the inspectors to grade the scores the same.
We discovered 5 inspectors cover 45% of the area eateries, but account for 84% of the failures. On the other hand, the rest of the inspectors cover 55% of the inspections, but only 16% of the failures. There's also a discrepancy with critical violations. Inspector 847 finds a critical violation 75% of the time. Compare that to Inspector 615, who only finds them 33% of the time.
What we're finding is that these tests are not being graded the same or not even similarly.
Now, the restaurant owners that brought the problem to our attention have had failing scores in the past. The last 3 inspections at the Orangery were in the 60s and 70s. Wok Chow recently received a 90, but scored a 64 last spring. They're both assigned Inspector 225. But in our investigation, we found the Orangery failed in years past under other inspectors as well.
If there's a critical item, it should be fixed. We all make mistakes. We all get caught doing in a busy rush.
But what we're finding is with many restaurants, there are a lot of points being deducted for things that are very vague.
Each inspector is armed with the same 44-point checklist, but the health department admits sometimes there's a variation in how the violations are interpreted.
There are some differences that occur that can be expected when you add the human element to regulation.
The restaurant owners' concerns are now going beyond Knox County. State Senator Becky Duncan Massey filed a bill that would help restaurants appeal to the health department. It would allow them to correct non-critical violations on the spot without being marked off.
I understand sometimes things like that can be subjective. And, you know, and you want it as objective as possible. You want it as kind of black and white as you can when, you know, your scores, your livelihood is dependent upon that.
The Knox County Health Department says they're aware of the concerns over inconsistency.
There is always that interpretation that's going to occur, and, you know, what we can do is put as much effort as possible into standardization and then keep doing it and going back and speaking directly to those folks who are outside, you know, either way.
They've taken steps to make changes, including having a supervisor follow up on inspections of frequent low-scoring restaurants.
It is a challenge, but we strive to do that on a consistent basis.
In the end, the goal of the inspector and the checklist is to keep the public safe.
We know that food temperatures, proper sanitation of equipment, and personal hygiene are the 3 major causes of foodborne outbreaks.
We asked the restaurants, isn't it their responsibility to ensure safety measures are met?
Some of them are probably our fault and some of them are probably misconstrued, for lack of a better term. But yeah, there's no question, some of them are our fault.
Kiger and others hope now that the issue is receiving more attention, restaurants may be served up more consistent scores. On your side in Knoxville, Alexis Odos, 6 News 19.
And attorneys for gay couples from Tennessee and 3 other states making their cases today in a federal appeals court in Cincinnati that their marriages should be recognized by their states.
Now, one of those couples is from right here in Knoxville. A judge earlier agreeing with the couple that the marriage should be recognized, but the decision was appealed by the state, leading to today's hearing in Cincinnati.
Only on 6 News reporter Samantha Manning was the only television reporter from Knoxville to make this trip, and she joins us live from Cincinnati. Samantha.
Well, today's court hearing sparked interest from people from all 4 states involved in the case. Earlier today, crowds of same-sex marriage supporters blanketed this whole area outside of the courthouse, and inside it was just as packed. They needed 2 overflow rooms to accommodate everyone that wanted to hear the arguments after the main courtroom was already filled to capacity. The attorney for 3 Tennessee same-sex couples argued the state's current law violates their constitutional rights as spouses and as parents. 2 of the couples have children, and the state's ban on recognizing same-sex marriage prohibits them from legal protections for their kids. Today, crowds of marriage equality supporters gathered outside the Cincinnati courtroom, holding signs and flags in support of same-sex marriage. Today, the attorney for the Tennessee couples argued the state's laws harm the couples and their families.
For any of us as parents that aren't recognized as parents to our children, for me, that's definitely the most poignant argument. It's the most personal reason that this is so important to me.
We brought you Sophie Jesty's story before as the legal battle first started. Sophie now lives in Knoxville, but she married her wife Valeria in New York. When the couple moved to Tennessee for work, their marriage was no longer recognized. Attorneys for the Michigan and Ohio cases argued the decision should be made by voters and not in court. The attorney for the state of Tennessee argued the state's current law has a rational basis, saying the state believes there is a connection between marriage and procreation. It's an argument Sophie and the other same-sex couples say isn't valid.
We have a 4-month-old, and so it's the truth nowadays that couples and families of all different makeups are having babies, and that includes same-sex couples as well.
Now, today's hearing was the first time a circuit court of appeals has considered marriage cases in all of the states in its jurisdiction. And the Tennessee same-sex couples we spoke with earlier tell us they are cautiously optimistic about the outcome. Live on your side in Cincinnati, Samantha Manning, 6 News.
Well, Gene, I've gone through hours worth of dash cam and body cam footage in the 8 DVDs from an officer-involved shooting that happened last month in Pigeon Forge, but none of them were from the officers that went into the Wendy's and confronted 2 people who were wanted for questioning about a Campbell County murder investigation.
Gary Alt, Wayne Knight, female suspect.
Body camera and dash camera footage released to 6 News show the aftermath of an officer-involved shooting from last month. According to the TBI, Sergeant Ralph Carr shot suspect James Phillips after he believed he was armed. That investigation revealed Phillips and Monica Briggs only had a cell phone and hairbrush. With 4 body cameras and 16 dash cameras in use that night, not one of them was turned on until after the shooting. So we wanted to know why.
They're like everybody else. Hindsight's always 20/20. The activation of the camera is based upon what the officer feels the need at the time.
TBI investigators say 4 officers were looking for the 2 suspects when they found them at this Wendy's. According to Pigeon Forge Police Chief Jack Baldwin, none of those officers were wearing body cameras. However, the chief says that all patrol cars are equipped with their own dash cameras, but their dash cameras weren't turned on either. We're told cameras are used at the officer's discretion, and the only way a dash camera will turn on automatically is if any emergency equipment like sirens are used. The bottom line, why invest in cameras that cost thousands of dollars if they aren't always on? Here's what the chief had to say.
It's worked quite well for us, except for this one incident, and, you know, I don't know that anybody's always perfect.
Now, I also asked Chief Baldwin whether the dash cam or body cam policies would be changing at all because of the officer-involved shooting. He tells me that they will be staying the same. On your side, live in the studio, Cameron Taylor, 6 News, Night Team.
It's a story you've been asking about. Tonight, we can finally say that Jake and Evelyn have a home.
Glad to hear that. Their story started 6 months ago with a call to 6 on Your Side consumer reporter Don Dare, who went to Talbot in Jefferson County and found a down-and-out couple who needed a helping hand.
When we first walked down this derelict, lonely road in June, looking for a couple who had been reported to us in desperate need of help, we didn't realize how desperate. While they owned the property here, several acres, they were living on the edge of society and might as well have been homeless. Now, they don't have to worry about that anymore.
Wow.
Here's Jake McKinney walking inside his finished home for the first time.
Yeah, it looks good. I love it. Yeah, looking right.
It's been years since Jake and his wife have had a real roof over their heads. Although it's small, their new house has been a labor of love by a lot of volunteers.
That's good.
Jake was shown a bed and furnishings donated by strangers who had heard about his plight.
Got your refrigerator? Yeah.
Pastor Glenn Dawkins from Captive Free Ministries in Talbot spearheaded the drive to bring hope to the couple who 6 months ago were helpless. In Jake's home is a bathroom with all the conveniences, a hot water heater installed and purchased by a local plumber, a washer and dryer bought through donations, a kitchen table and chairs purchased by a family in Johnson City. There's a front porch on the 16 by 20 structure, even a back porch. Back in June when we first met, did you ever think this would happen?
No, it's better than what I thought.
I can't thank everybody enough for everybody that's came and helped.
Pastor Dawkins says about 25 people have assisted in the project.
It's all about Jake and Evelyn. Doesn't have anything to do with what we do. We done it out of love, as you said. Out of love is what we done.
We'll see if we can't get you some help soon, okay? Okay, thank you.
It was Ashton Smith who first contacted 6 on Your Side and spoke to Evelyn, while her father explained to Jake the overall plan. In June, when we met the McKinneys, their kitchen was under a tree. Their shelter was a leaky camper that had no bathroom. They powered everything with an extension cord. Evelyn said there was no place to bathe and she'd welcome help if someone offered it. Within a few weeks, their property was cleared of debris. The plan by the church was underway.
We have a guy already willing to do the septic system for us. We are also going to build a small house for them.
Come on.
That small house is finished now. Evelyn's first look inside went beyond her expectations.
It's pretty in here.
From donations, the church has established a fund that will help pay the couple's utility bills. Still, there's more work to be done outside.
We're bringing in 5 loads of backfill dirt to be able to level everything out and smooth everything over. And then we're going to put some topsoil, 2 loads of topsoil on everything so we can get us some good grass growing.
Are you happy? It's yours. Don't belong to nobody else. It belongs to you.
For Jake, tears expresses gratitude. There's now promise of a better life. The church will continue its promise of watching over their welfare. Yes, their new home is blessed. Don Dare, WATE, 6 on Your Side.
Light the grill, ice down the drinks, and get your foam finger ready. Football has returned to East Tennessee. WATE 6 News and the 6 Sports team are throwing a start of the season celebration. We're talking with the coach, checking out the lineup, and starting the party. From Greystone, it's Tennessee Tailgate 2014. With your hosts, Bo Williams and Lori Tucker.
Hi, everyone. Wow, we've got the Pride of the Southland Marching Band playing right behind us here at Greystone. Thanks so much for being with us for our tailgate special. I'm Lori Tucker.
And I'm Bo Williams. As Lori mentioned, we're on the front lawn right out front of the WATE studios right here in North Knoxville.
Yeah, we are so excited to be here. We've got an hour's worth of a full preview for you as the ball season gets underway coming up on Sunday. Hard to believe it's already here.
Lacey to hold, Jones to attempt.
Alex Jones is a kicker on the Knoxville Catholic varsity football team.
And the kick is good.
Second week of the season, I got my name called, and it's been history ever since, with going out there every extra point and going out there for field goals and stuff like that.
Alex is in just his first year playing football in high school, and as a senior, it's also his last. Due to a heart condition, doctors told Alex to stop playing contact sports in 7th grade, eventually asking him to quit all sports.
I struggled just because I knew how much he loved it and wanted to be a part of it.
Deep down inside, I hurt for him. Barb hurt, but he was the one who was probably the most mature about it and kept it in perspective and moving forward.
It was just kind of funny because the nurse came in and said, wow, you handled this really well, because everybody else that does this usually cries or something.
That kind of mental toughness just may be hereditary. Did I mention his dad is a football coach?
Let's go, King, go!
This season, the son of a coach finally got the chance to be a player.
He could have just gone along and continued doing what, the doctors told him that, he could do. And he kept asking questions and he wanted to do something. So finally the doctor said, yes, we'll let you kick.
It's awesome because you go out there Friday nights, and I've never felt that before, the Friday night lights that everybody talks about all the time, and you just get a smile every time you go out there.
And Alex isn't the only one smiling.
I just like to quiet and hear everyone around me talk, and you know, I like to just be a dad and just watch.
It helps that Barb Jones worries enough for the both of them.
I'm a nervous wreck, and I just think I don't need any more stress.
Normally, more stress is a bad thing, but this football season, it's been just what the Jones family needed.
Oh, those are cute! It's emotional. It's emotional to see him, but I think the camaraderie that he has with the players and being out on the field, it's special to me as a mom and as the wife of a football coach to see your son doing that.
I guess it's just kind of a blessing because you kind of look back and you think how great this year has been. Just your 1 year of high school football, and it's been perfect.
And guys, the one thing that struck me about this kid is he's such an impressive young man.
Yeah.
He's good in school. He's obviously athletically inclined, and it is his senior year, but he does not plan on this being his last season of football altogether. Alex says,
I wondered about that.
Yeah, he will be attending the University of Tennessee.
Of course.
Of course. And hopes, get this, to walk on to the football team so he can spend even more time with his dad.
Yeah.
After college, you could probably guess what he wants to do with his life. He wants to be a coach someday.
6,593 feet high, where the weather can change in a blink of an eye, wildlife appears fearless, and the scenery looks like a piece of art.
I don't know if I'll have the right words to put it in. It's just, it doesn't look real. I mean, it looks like you're looking at a photo or a painting by some famous artist.
This is Mount LeConte in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the highest guest lodge east of the Mississippi, and a place not taken for granted by those who see it firsthand. What helps to make this place unique is there are no roads in or out. Llamas bring up supplies 3 times a week, and you have to hike a minimum of 11 miles round trip. In other words, you have to really want to get here.
I'm on up in years, and it's always a challenge to me to be able to get here, period. And after I've gotten here, it's just so relaxing and a real sense of accomplishment that, wow, one more time, those legs did it, got me up here. Thank you, Lord, for that experience.
The experience is thanks in part to people like Jack Huff, who wanted to showcase this land in hopes of it becoming a national park. These photos from the Park Service archive show the early days of construction back in the 20s and 30s. And as the decades passed, more cabins were built. Now they can accommodate a staff of more than a dozen and up to 60 guests a night.
Good evening, everybody. If I can have your attention for just a couple of minutes, I have a few announcements for you tonight.
Today, with your rustic overnight stay, comes a family-style dinner by kerosene lanterns, the dining room and cabins warmed by propane heaters, and there is water piped in from a nearby spring. A day up here, in some cases, can feel more like a week away from your everyday life.
Not everybody would want to do this experience, but it's just like going back in time a little bit to me.
Part of the experience for people like avid hiker Mary Spellings is taking in all of the views LeConte has to offer. A few quick hikes from camp opens up totally different landscapes. Just 0.2 of a mile from camp, there is Cliff Tops, a popular place to see a sunset, though on this particular night, we were socked in with fog. The next morning, we hiked in the dark for 0.7 of a mile for sunrise on Myrtle Point, and Mother Nature put on quite a show, leaving many in awe.
There was no chance I thought we were going to see a sunrise like this, and it's been, worth the wait and getting up early to go see it.
And even if you can't get a reservation up here, because they are pretty hard to come by, hundreds of day hikers keep making the trek, enjoying the unique scenery along one of the 5 trails and the unforgettable time on top of the mountain.
It's like staying nowhere else in Tennessee, and I think that's what keeps people coming back.
And Bo and Lori, the journey up here, really each and every time is different, and it never disappoints. I heard you guys saying about the temperature, the highest temperature ever recorded up here being 81.5. And I remember when that happened, and there was actually a heat wave, if you will, down in Knoxville. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, it was 102 degrees down in Knoxville when that happened up here, just to give you an idea of the difference up here. It's just absolutely breathtaking, Kristen. That sunrise is something that I think no one would forget if they take part in that. No, I can honestly tell you, I have been up here about 5 or 6 times. It was the first time that sunrise was not socked in for me. It was literally breathtaking. Our pictures really don't do it justice. And everyone just stood there in silence, not just for a minute or 5 minutes, but what seemed like a half hour, just enjoying the glow of the sun and just the beautiful show that was being put on for us. And Lori and Bo, it really was perfect.